Hello, I'm so glad you're here. In this video, I'm going over my December and January reading wrap up. So in those 2 months, I read a total of 10 books, but one of those was a DNF and also is not out yet. It was a ARC, so I'm not going to really talk about it just out of respect for the author. So we're going to be going over 9 books that I read in December and January. It was a little bit of a slower month for me. I was traveling quite a bit, and then just the holidays. I had my birthday, I had my brother's birthday. It's just a lot, so not that many, but we're still gonna go over it. Just jumping right into it, the first book that I read was Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Mahonigan. Mahonigan? Oh my gosh, y'all. I'm really bad at pronouncing last names, sorry. But in this book, we follow Nora and Theo and kind of their romance. So Nora is a screenwriter and she just went through a divorce. The husband was basically just like, did absolutely nothing, used her for her money, and they ended up getting a divorce, and she's just raising her 2 kids in this small town. One of her books that she's writing gets picked up and they're turning it into a movie, and the main actor is Leo, and he's basically this big like hotshot actor in Hollywood, and he's playing her husband in the movie because the movie is based on her divorce. But yeah, I didn't love this book. I gave it a 2.5 star. It was not my favorite book ever. I was just really not feeling the chemistry between the actors. I don't even feel like it was actors between the 2 characters. I just wasn't feeling it. It didn't necessarily feel rushed or anything like that. It just didn't feel real. It did not feel genuine to me. I loved Nora's 2 kids. I loved just their dynamic in the book, but not my favorite. I didn't absolutely love it. I would still recommend it. I think a lot of people do love this book, so if that like premise sounds interesting to you, I still think you should pick this up. Next, I read My December Darling by Lauren Asher. It is just like a little Christmas novella. I actually really enjoyed this book. The whole premise is you're following Catalina, and she's kind of a grumpy character, and then the love interest is Luke, who is just sunshine, so sweet. But basically the story is just Catalina, her sister is getting married, and she is her maid of honor, her sister's maid of honor, and the man that her sister is marrying is Catalina's ex-boyfriend, and Catalina's ex-boyfriend's best man is Luke. I don't know if that made sense. But so it's kind of a weird dynamic. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't like super Christmassy. Like the plot wasn't Christmas. I think Christmas literally takes place at the end of the book, but it literally just felt like a cute like winter novella, and I really enjoyed that. It was not like all like rainbows and sunshine. It's not that type of romance. It was definitely like had harder themes in it, but I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I loved both of the main characters. Luke is just so sweet to Catalina, and they bond over Legos, which that was really funny because I love Legos, so that was kind of cute. And I rated that a 3.5 star. It would have been higher, honestly, if it probably wasn't a novella. If it was like a full book and I got to even dive deeper into the story and into like the characters, I honestly would have probably enjoyed it more. So 3.5 star. Wish it was longer though. Next up, I read Foxglove by Adeline Grace. I really love this series. I haven't read the last book yet, but I loved Belladonna, which is the first book. This is the second book in the series. But we're just following Signa, and Signa like grew up and she was always able to see ghosts, and also just like a lot of people in her life ended up dying. She just had a lot of death in her life, and it was really sad. So she's really angry at death. And I'm not really going to talk much about this book because I don't want to obviously spoil anything, but just like the first book, you're following Signa and Death is like an actual kind of person, and it's kind of just their story as they, I don't know, their little romance. It's between Death and Signa, so it was really interesting, but I actually really love Signa. It's definitely like has a gothic feel to it. It's like a fantasy mystery, not super high fantasy at all. It's just more like supernatural gothic mystery. But this book, I didn't love it as much as Belladonna. We were introduced to some new characters that was really fun, but I didn't love it as much as Belladonna. I gave this a 3.75 star. Honestly, couldn't tell you why I didn't love this book as much. I just had a harder time, I think, getting into it. And I think it just didn't focus as much on Signa and Death, which makes sense, I guess, because the first book was all about them, and this book kind of focused on different characters that we were introduced to in like the ending of Belladonna. But yeah, it wasn't like my absolute favorite, but I still want to read Wisteria, which is the third book, and that's already out, so I need to go pick that up. In December and January, I ended up reading Reckless and Hopeless, which are the two last books in the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. I loved these books. I really loved Reckless. I also enjoyed Hopeless a lot. In Reckless, we're following Theo in Winter. In Winter, you definitely you hear about her a lot throughout the series in the beginning, because she's in the first book you're following Summer, and she's Summer's sister. Winter. That's just funny, but yeah, she's Summer's sister, which Summer is in the main character in the very first book. But I was very surprised by Reckless. I knew a lot of people really loved it, but I loved it. I loved Winter and Theo. Their dynamic is amazing. It's a huge, well, the whole series is just huge found family. Like every book is just honestly found family. But it was amazing just seeing Winter, because Winter and Summer had a really kind of tough relationship. So seeing Winter kind of bond and get to know all the characters in the series was just really sweet. And then in Hopeless, we're following Beau and Bailey, and I really enjoyed this book. Both the characters just had a lot of, I think, trauma and just difficult things that they went through in their life. Like Beau was, he's a veteran, and he went on a mission and it just ended really badly, and the whole town is kind of stepping on eggshells around him. And then Bailey, her family just has a super bad rep in this town. No one takes her seriously. It's really hard for her to get different jobs, and just people saying nasty things behind her back into her face. So they kind of come up with this plan to get engaged. They have a fake engagement going on, and it's kind of Beau's way of just being okay, everyone get off my back. I'm continuing to have my life. You can stop feeling bad for me and whatever. And to kind of get his family off his back, because his family's always on him about where he is, and he's just trying to continue his life. And then for Bailey, it's just to try to get a better reputation, I guess, in the town. Beau's family is just very well respected in this town, so Bailey's really just trying, I guess, to piggyback off of that respect that Beau's family has. It's really cute. It's really sweet. Their communication was really well done in the book, and just also seeing Bailey join the family that Beau has, and just they're all loving on her, which is just so foreign to her, was really sweet. So I really enjoyed both those books, and I'm actually so sad that that was the ending, but I'm also really excited to hopefully start soon Elsie Silver's next series, which is, I think the first book is called Wild Love, and I have it, so hopefully maybe next month in February I'll start it. And then I did a reading vlog on this, so if y'all want to see it, it's in my Texas vlog, but I read No Exit by Taylor Adams. Y'all, this book is crazy, actually so crazy. The whole book takes place in one night, so the chapters are 8 p.m., 10 p.m., 1 a.m. So you're just instead of chapter 1, chapter 2, it's literally going through different timestamps during the night, which that was really cool. The whole story takes place at a rest stop, and you're following Darby, and they all get stuck at this rest stop because of a snowstorm that went through, and Darby's literally just meeting, there's 4 strangers at this rest stop, and she's kind of just meeting everyone, getting to know them. They know they're all going to be stuck at this rest stop for a while, so just playing games and whatever, trying to pass the time. And Darby's trying to get a phone signal, and she goes outside to get a phone signal, and all of a sudden she sees a little girl trapped in one of the vans. So you're kind of following her as she's trying to figure out who this little girl is, whose van it is, and it is just absolutely insane. I read the book in I think 24 hours. It was just so fast paced, so crazy. It's just very intense. My heart was going for sure. Very fast paced. What did I rate it? I gave this book 4 stars. It was so fun. And that was my first Taylor Adams book, so I'm excited to read more of her books. Continuing on with a mystery theme, I finished the Natural series, which the last book is Bad Blood by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I'm really sad that I'm finishing this series. This book contains the Bad Blood book and also the novella at the end of the series, which is called 12. So I read both of those, and y'all, I'm actually really sad. I loved this series. Me and my husband buddy read it together. He still needs to read this book, which I'm trying to convince him to, because this book was insane and probably one of my favorites. But yeah, we buddy read it. We would listen to it like on audiobook while we were traveling and stuff, and we both just love it. You're following Cassie, and Cassie joins this program and where they have like kids with these just unique abilities. It's not like powers or anything, but like there's a girl who can detect lies super easily, someone who can read emotions, someone who's very analytical and just extremely smart. And they have these kids helping the FBI like crack down cold cases or just solve cold cases. And each book kind of, like the first book follows Cassie, and you find out in the very beginning of her book that her mother died and was murdered, and they don't know who murdered her, so you're just kind of following that. It's such a fun series. Like, you will run through this series. It is so much fun. Each book kind of is focused on the kids, on one of the kids. Like, you follow Cassie in the first book. The second book focuses more on one of the other characters, Dean, who Cassie and Dean have a little romance going on, so you have also a subplot of romance, but it is so good. Like, I'm gonna miss these characters so much. Just huge found family element, a little bit of romance, mystery. Highly recommend. It is a 5-star series for me. I loved it so much. I gave Bad Blood 4.75 stars, so almost a 5-star. Just wasn't like a 5-star like feeling, but the series is 5 stars, so. And then I gave 12, the novella, a 3-star, so yeah. Very good series. Please read it if you haven't read it. I honestly enjoyed this series more than I enjoyed the Inheritance Games, which, if y'all don't know, that is another series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes that is extremely popular. But yeah, sad to finish this. The next book that I read was Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which, if you want to see like my reactions reading this, I did a reading vlog in my last video that I just posted. But yeah, this was fun. I definitely did not love it as much as I think some other people did, but I still had a lot of fun reading this. In this book, you're following Peyton, and Peyton is an ordinary in this world. Everyone has powers in this society, and the people that don't have powers are called ordinaries, and they are shunned, they're banished, they're killed if the king finds out that they're living in his like world or whatever, in his kingdom. And yeah, you're just following Peyton. She lives in the slums. She's posing as a psychic so that people don't know she's an ordinary. She is also a thief, so that's kind of how she survives in this world, is just stealing and selling off things. She unknowingly saves a prince while she's out like walking around the slums. She unknowingly saves a prince from this attack that happens to him, and that is Kai. And Kai, his role in the kingdom is the king will send him on these missions to find ordinaries. So while he's doing that in the slums, Peyton saves him from an attack. So she gains just this huge popularity from the society, and they all vote for her to go into these trials, which the trials is a huge premise of this book. You're following Kai and Peyton just while they're in these trials, and it's absolutely insane. The ending is crazy, and it's just, yeah, Peyton and Kai's romance. So I really enjoyed it. There were some things in it that I didn't absolutely love. I really enjoyed watching Kai and Peyton's relationship. Kai is so funny. Their banter is hilarious. I gave Powerless a 4-star. I'm excited to continue the series. I heard great things about the novella, so I'll have to pick that up soon. So that is everything that I read in December and January. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. Bye.